Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another virtual news conference. This is day number 85 of our battle with coronavirus. More than 43,000 cases in Georgia, more than 1,800 deaths, including 448 cases and 21 deaths right here in Chatham County. I'd like to pause for a moment to remember and honor the more than 1 million Americans of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard who have died in serving and protecting our country. I also lift up those Georgians, and particularly those Savannahs, who have died from COVID-19 and their grieving families for whom this loss is still quite personal and very real. I'm extremely concerned about what we witnessed, or what we all witnessed, over Savannah this weekend. Make no mistake, I'm glad that Savannah area businesses are open and able to once again make money. Most businesses around town were doing the best they could to protect employees and their customers. However, I remain concerned that many visitors and quite a few locals considered this to be nothing more than a simple vacation weekend and did not take the proper steps to protect themselves. As you are aware, Governor Brian Kemp ordered that bars and nightclubs were to remain closed through the end of the month. So I hit the streets this holiday weekend to evaluate what was going on for myself. I visited and patronized businesses, sat in parks, and observed people going to and fro. Face coverings are a wonderful thing. Admittedly, I was very disappointed in what I saw. During the evening hours, particularly over the weekend, our city looked, felt like St. Patrick's Day weekend, with packed sidewalks and streets overflowing with young people, most of them not wearing face coverings or observing social distancing. Besides the many complaints that were received, social media also told the story that Savannah was wide open. With my face covered, I had the opportunity to personally shadow Savannah's alcohol beverage control team as they visited several local businesses in the downtown area. I watched the interactions between these ABC team members and the managers of these establishments, and I must tell you that I was so impressed with the professionalism and the decorum of our city team, even when they were not treated with the same dignity and respect. I'm a witness that they worked late into the night, and I sincerely appreciate their efforts. For violations of the governor's order, 6 businesses received warnings and 2 businesses were cited for non-compliance, although a lot of businesses were visited. This isn't a joke, this is the law. This weekend also revealed some serious flaws, I believe, in the city's alcohol beverage ordinance that we need to address immediately. And I've discussed my concerns with the city attorney. We need to make sure that our ordinances are clear, consistent, fair, and make sense. Please recognize that this is simply not what Van Johnson thinks, or because as Dr. Deborah Burtz, the head of the White House response to the COVID-19, made very clear, ahead of the long weekend, we must remain aware of the necessary steps to protect ourselves. Not only did we have big crowds, Tybee Island again had huge crowds. I'm asking again, I am pleading that everyone enjoy our city safely, but follow the guidelines of the public health officials. The Savannah Safer Services Reopening Plan has been posted to the city's website and can be reviewed for a better reopen. The city manager and his leadership team are preparing the organization to enter phase 1 of the plan. Phase 1 will focus on high priority services, including the reintroduction of recycling and yard waste collection. We will enter phase 1 when COVID-19 metrics on positive tests, hospitalizations, and deaths are stable or declining for 14 days. Please remember that each progression will occur at a minimum of 14 days, and throughout the phases there will be increased precautions to keep everyone safe, including social distancing, face coverings, and temperature checks. As we enter the new phase of the plan, more details on the phase we are in will be published to the city's website for clarity and public awareness. Savannah Safecom, our collaborative effort with private sector partners to safely reopen the Savannah economy, has been a massive success. With more than 500 businesses participating by taking the Savannah Safe Pledge, we know that most of our local business owners are taking the safety of their employees and customers very seriously. And I know we've received quite a bit of flack about the city becoming too authoritarian, and the wonderful part about SavannahSafe.com, it was developed by businesses. So that's the greatest thing about this, and we have more than 500 businesses. As a matter of fact, businesses from surrounding communities are now wanting to become a part. The next and exciting step of the Savannah Safe initiative will include a tourist or visitor pledge, providing guidelines for all visitors and that they should follow to safely enjoy Savannah during this pandemic. We will have more information on this new component to Savannah Safe in the coming days. Also, the city's outdoor dining program has continued to move forward, providing a way for restaurants to expand outdoor dining and increase social distance. Details on how to apply for the program are available on the city's website. So far, 15 businesses have been approved for the program. Remember, this is a pilot program that will run through June the 15th, and city staff will reassess the program at that time. We know that the continued expansion of COVID-19 testing is one of the keys of getting past this pandemic. The Coastal Health District continues to host COVID testing every day in Savannah by appointment. Anyone, regardless of symptoms, can be tested. Today, the Coastal Health District is testing from 9:30 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. at Butler Elementary School, Butler, 1909 Cynthia Street in the Cloverdale subdivision. Call 912-230-9744, 912-230-9744 to begin the appointment process. Call center hours are Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. and on Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Also, later this week on May the 29th and May 30th, Overcoming by Faith and the Curtis V. Cooper Primary Health Center will be hosting free drive-through testing at Overcoming by Faith Ministries, 9700 Middle Ground Road on the south side of Savannah. That is on May 29th from 1 to 6 o'clock, from 1 to 6 p.m., 1 to 5 p.m., and on May 30th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and you can pre-register at overcomingbyfaith.org. Pre-register at overcomingfaith.org. And we thank them so much for that. Also later this week, the community organized relief efforts, Harambe House, and Agape Empowerment Ministries will be hosting testing on Thursday through Saturday, May 28th through 30th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Savannah Civic Center parking lot. So please, again, there are opportunities available. You don't have to show any symptoms. It's free testing. Please go be tested. Thanks to a partnership with the Los Angeles-based Bella Campus and the U.S. Conference of Mayors, we have they are going fast. Be sure to cover your nose and mouth when wearing your face covering. Properly wearing face covering is key to helping to prevent exposure. Also, let us remember that early in-person voting for the June 9th election goes through June the 5th. You can vote in person Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. at the Chatham County Voter Registration Office, 1117 Eisenhower Drive, Suite E. Saturday early in-person voting will be on May the 30th, this Saturday at the main office from 9 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. And of course, you can always do your absentee ballot. You can send it in and you can drop it off. Remember to please continue to encourage your friends and your neighbors to take the 2020 census. Thank you so much for what you've done so far. We are finally more than 50%, but I really would like to get us to 75%. So please, there's a lot of work to be done. We definitely need your help. You can fill it out online, by phone, or by mail. It takes less than 10 minutes. It took me only 4 to shape Savannah's future for the next 10 years. The census determines federally our funding federally for a variety of projects. It also determines how we're represented in Washington. So I'm thankful to everyone who remains vigilant during this pandemic, and we will get through it together. Finally, almost finally, I'd like to share that I've convened the Savannah Faith Roundtable, which consists of faith leaders from all over our city. This initiative is called Savannah Faith. And from Savannah Faith, we have designated a task force that will work with our health professionals to develop recommendations and guidance for our churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples to reopen safely. The task force consists of Imam Ibrahim Abdul Malik from Temple Masjid Jahid, Rabbi Robert Haas, Congregation Mikveh Israel, Pastor Billy Hester, Asbury Memorial United Methodist Church, and Pastor Lolita Hickman from Trinity Baptist Church. While we all worship in person, miss worshiping in person, this group is committed to developing important guidelines to make sure that when temples, churches, synagogues, and mosques reopen, they do so in a way that assures the safety of their parishioners. Remember, houses of faith are not really houses at all. And I commend our faith leaders for making the courageous and bold decisions to remain closed for the foreseeable future until we're able to see our way through this thing. We know that faith knows no boundaries. And I'm thankful to all of them for their commitment to safety. This time has also been very difficult for them, as we have continued to seek their leadership and their guidance for insight, encouragement, and comfort. And I appreciate them remaining engaged with the city of Savannah, and many of them taking courageous steps to keep the faith but follow the science. If you are a faith leader in Savannah and you are not a part of Savannah Faith, you can do so by sending us an email at egregory@savannahga.gov, egregory@savannahga.gov, and we want to make sure that you include your phone number and your email address, and we will make sure to add you. egregory@savannahga.gov to our faith leaders in the Savannah community that want to be a part of our evolving partnership called Savannah Faith. So may God bless you. May God continue to bless Savannah. That's the prepared updates for today, and I'm ready to entertain any questions you may have. No questions? Good. Thank you very much. Good morning, Ms. Alex. How are you?
Good morning.
I'm good. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. So we're getting close to the end of the month now, and I wanted to know what the status it is right now with Savannah's economy, with the budget and everything like that, because I know you said you would revisit that at the end of the month. but obviously businesses have reopened, so was wondering, what the status is with that.
Well, again, I think for us, it's an evolving matter that goes day to day. So I know city staff is recognizing that. Obviously, it's a good thing for our businesses to be open. It's good for their economies to be restarted. The issue is, and the concern is, again, what I saw throughout our city on Saturday, Sunday, well, Friday, was an absolute mess. It was an absolute mess. It was the largest party in a COVID that, I just think it was unadvisable. It was absolutely reckless. And we have to manage that. And we need the help of our business community to help manage that. I rode through streets that were impassable because there were so many people standing in the streets. I walked down sidewalks that were impassable because so many people were standing on the sidewalks. They were not social distancing. They were not wearing face coverings. In a couple of cases, I went and stood in some of those lines. And the interesting part is, again, with face coverings, people don't know who's standing in the lines. And I plan to continue to do that because I wanted to see for myself. I didn't want to rely on complaints. Our office had received complaints. We were receiving social media. The interesting thing about people nowadays is that when they do stuff, they take pictures of it. And so we had employees at some of these establishments saying, hey, I really don't feel safe here. We're really not doing what we said we were going to do. And so I got a chance to go visit myself. And standing in those lines, looking and observing myself. And again, I think most eye-opening is really following the ABC team around and watching how they interacted. And again, I'm not sure I would have had the restraint, the professional restraint that they had, from just people around just asking simply that you move 6 feet back. Some people, they didn't like that. And, again, for our city, we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can do to make people safe. We're not trying to stop people from living their best lives. However, we want to make sure that they have a life to live their best.
Mayor Johnson, where's the list of the names? How can we get that of what businesses were cited and warned?
We will release that later today.
Okay. And you mentioned that the city's alcohol beverage ordinance is tweaking. How soon will we see something like that on the agenda, or can you give any examples of areas of the...
Well, I remember in a past life as an alderman, particularly, we had some revisions to the alcohol beverage license that I voted against. Was very concerned about it because I felt that it was unclear. I think that restaurants are restaurants. You know the restaurant. A restaurant is a place where primarily they serve food. You expect to see tables in restaurants where people can sit and eat. If there's more floor space and more lines, again, I'm at certain establishments. I'm standing there in line and I'm watching where they have a food stand, but clearly more alcohol was being served. So in my mind, that's where it's not clear. I think, people know what bars are, they know what nightclubs are, and I think the majority of reasonable people, if they looked at some of the situations we had going on over the weekend, we had businesses, to me, that were classed as restaurants, but they were not behaving as restaurants. And I think it's safer for not only our customers, our citizens, members of our ABC team, of the mayor, to look and clearly say, that's a restaurant, that's a bar, that's a nightclub. And again, I don't think that you have lines going back in and around the corner for people to eat.
And some of the social media comments and some of the phone calls I got said the fire marshal was involved. Is he part of that team, or was that just...
He is. The fire marshal, the time that I was involved, it was the captain of the downtown precinct. It was the fire marshal. It was the ABC team, which are officers and civilians that are charged with evaluating permitting of that business, making sure they're doing social distancing. They walk into the establishments, and again, it's a snapshot in time. What you see, how far people away, how many tables are there, how many people are in line, are you exercising proper business practices? When I observed some of those businesses, when they came in, they just said, all right, look, we're closing. We're just closing. And I'm not exactly sure why that was, but I think it was pretty clear, hey, we need to be safe. And I think, the enforcement piece of it is extremely important. That's occurring this week. It's occurring throughout the week. And it'll be occurring again next weekend. As you know, June 1st is the projected day of reopening. And so we have another weekend. And I expect the enforcement will continue to persist. Good morning, Ms. Emma.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. My question for you is, what are your concerns about the possibility of a spike in cases 2 weeks from now after the weekend that we had?
I mean, that is what kept me up over the weekend. This weekend was an issue, and we know, again, that we're looking at a 1 to 2 week window in terms of how things happen. If you look, and the interesting thing is that the weather was beautiful, people are saying we're back. Look at the numbers. The numbers are absolutely clear that we're still trending upward. We have not plateaued. And so this type of behavior from walking coronaviruses coming from all over the community, again, we want to make sure that these opportunities are reduced. And so when you have a lot of people gathering in very confined small spaces, you open up the chances of mass infection. So I was very concerned about that, and I'm very concerned about what this means for the next 2 weeks. We're trying to get our businesses open as soon as possible. We're trying to go back to full steam ahead, but then things like this happen that I believe puts us on a trajectory to be set back.
And would you say you're getting any closer to requiring masks within city limits?
Pardon? Repeat that, please.
Would you say that you're getting any closer to taking that step of requiring everyone to have a mask on within city limits out in public?
My patience is being tried. And again, I'm close to the point of something has to be done. And again, we're trying very hard to not infringe on people's personal freedoms, but I think that the health of the entire community is more important than what people feel one way or another about face coverings.
Thank you.
Thank you. And before, I wanted just to announce that I was not aware that the testing at Butler Elementary was canceled today due to weather. It will be rescheduled. So Butler testing was is postponed for today. Mr. Slats.
I too walked downtown just to see what was going on. You talked a lot about the businesses that weren't doing their job, but what do you say to those few that think they're swimming upstream because they are abiding by all those rules, yet they're not making the money that these businesses are? What do you say to those businesses that are doing the job and doing it well?
Well, actually, as a part of my walking around, there were businesses I had the opportunity to walk in and say, hey, I'm a mayor. I just wanted to congratulate you. I mean, this looks great. You're doing a great job. Again, I think it's always right to do the right thing, and I thank those businesses that are doing the right thing. It's important that we continue to do the right thing. Again, we don't want to sacrifice long-term public health and safety for a short-term buck. It's simply not worth it. So to those businesses, I thank them. And again, part of their frustration is like, hey, we're doing the right thing. We're following the rules, but right there, you have a business that is clearly not. And again, I think to have a very clear, concise, comprehensive alcohol ordinance, I think makes that much easier for everybody. We just need to be clear that we're dealing with apples and apples on all cases. So, city attorney was not here when all of that happened, but he's indicated a desire to help. He's had some concerns too, so we'll work together and provide some options for council to make sure that it makes sense. Ms. Katie?
I think I'm okay. Everyone else actually asked all my questions.
Wow. Well, if that means...
Oh, no, I have one more.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just real quick, Mr. Mayor, going back to the alcohol ordinance, right now, what's the difference between a bar and a restaurant in the
Well, that's what we're going to be trying. We'll release some guidance on that because again, that was kind of the confusing. I think that people are very clear about what a restaurant is. A restaurant is where, and Mr. Attorney, if I'm wrong, let me know, where the majority of your revenues derive from food service. You know, over 51%. If you're selling more food than you're selling alcohol, you're a restaurant. If you're serving more alcohol than you're serving food, you are a bar. And if people are dancing and having a good time, then you're a nightclub. Just because you sell French fries doesn't make you a restaurant. You know, you want a restaurant with your Corona. I mean, that's not a restaurant in my mind. And again, I think most reasonable people will look at that in the same way. And so we have to make sure that our ordinances make sense. And so I've never known of too many places that I've stood in lines going around a corner for hours to buy a hamburger. I'm just not going to do it. And most people won't do it. You're not going in there to buy the food. You're going in there because you're going for the atmosphere. You're going for people. We know from the very nature of nightclubs and bars, proximity is everything. You're going there to be up close and personal with your friends and to meet new people. And hence it makes sense that the governor declared those businesses remain closed at least until the beginning of June because the proximity. And what we saw was a nightclub festival atmosphere. From people standing in lines, from people going into these establishments, from people sitting in these establishments. And again, it cannot be tolerated. And we won't tolerate that. Because again, our community is at risk. And so people are coming here, we want them to enjoy themselves, we want them to have a good time. But they have to be very clear that the culture here during COVID-19 and going forward in Savannah is safety. And we want to protect not only them, but the people who work in these establishments, and we want to protect their families who have to go home at the end of a shift and interact with those they love. So I have plenty more masks, and so I'll continue to go out. And people stood by me and talked about me and didn't even know that I was standing right there next to them. I just didn't want to break their heart by taking the mask down. I just like, oh, okay. So you don't have to wear no. Guys tell me you don't have to wear a mask. Why not? And then he said, because the mayor is so and so. So I said, oh, okay. I said, well, you know, it's probably the same thing to do though. He said, yeah, well, I'm not gonna wear a mask. So I didn't want to break his heart. But.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now we can move on to Sean.
Thank you. And for the final questions from the man cave at the Evans household, Ms. Evans. Deanne, you got another question?
Just one from the man cave.
One question? Deanne, you got a question?
Yeah, just one.
Wait, Sean, hold up. Deanne? Did you have a question, Deanne?
Pardon?
Did you have a question?
No, I'm done.
Okay, all right. Now to the man cave.
To the number of masks, or face coverings rather, that y'all procured, how many? What was the number on that again?
Well, the total is 14,500.
14,000.
We initially requested 4,500, and our total was 14,500. And obviously, people wanted them. We placed them in firehouses. We gave over 100 to each alderman. We gave some to nonprofits. We gave some to our homeless community. We gave some to the housing authority for some of our senior citizens. And they're almost all gone. And people can walk up and pick them up here at City Hall. We're serious about safety, and in my mind, before we mandate face coverage for everyone, we have to make sure two things happen. One, that face coverings are available for everyone, and two, that we educate people on the proper way to wear them. Once those two processes are complete, I feel more comfortable at that point of ordering face coverings.
Thank you, sir.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
Dang, okay. Also, much to my chagrin, I want to remind our citizens that hurricane season starts a week from today. A week from today. friends in Albany, your friends in New York. Well, right now, they may not want you to come. So you have to have a place to go. You have to know where your documents are. You have to know where your medical supplies are. You have to have your insurance and things intact. If you need flood insurance, if you need a regular insurance, make sure your papers are all in one place. Making sure you have those courageous and critical conversations with your family members about what do we do, what's our plan. Make sure you have batteries, and make sure you have cell phone chargers and those types of things to make sure you can survive should something occur. This is extremely important, and in coming weeks, we'll start posting guidance from SEMA, the Chatham Emergency Management Agency. There are things we can do now to plan for hurricane season, and I want us to be much better prepared than we were over the last couple of years. We've realized that sometimes we were not as prepared as we would have liked. We did not take care or as good of care of our less fortunate neighbors as I would have liked for us to. I would like for us to have a stronger plan. I would like for us to make sure that we're engaging our citizens in a much more comprehensive way. And if you need that assistance, we want to make sure that you're on that registry with SEMA. So we'll be continuing to send out that information in the coming days. But hurricane season is upon us, and we just hope the good Lord will spare us, because the last thing we need is evacuation during a pandemic. I mean, that would be rough. That would be a rough one. Anything else? We thank all of you. I think everybody is everybody is at home, and Emma is in the car, and Sean is in the man cave. So appreciate all of you. I appreciate you all helping us get our message out. We appreciate you being valued partners of the city of Savannah. We are Savannah Strong. We're resilient Savannah. We are bigger together than the things that affect us individually. And I'm just pleased, honored, and blessed to be serving at a time like this, to be able to hopefully make sure that the least, the last, the lost, make sure that people are brought to the table, make sure people are properly engaged, and make sure that we see our way out of this together. God bless. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.